right, hi. So this is Uuni, UUNI. Uuni means oven in Finnish. I'm Finnish, I'm from Finland, although we are based in Edinburgh, in Scotland. So a little bit about the origin story of Uuni. I got into making pizzas back in 2010. Got really into them, testing different doughs, testing different toppings. But very soon, in 2010, hit a bit of a wall with our electric oven. It just wasn't hot enough to bake pizzas in a timely manner. You start with a 6-minute pizza, then 10 minutes, and so on. So it was pretty clear that I'd need to get one of these big wood-fired ovens for our garden. Now, my wife and I, we were back then living in southeast London in a rented terraced house. We did have a garden, but we didn't have £1,000 to spend on a wood-fired oven. We didn't have the space for half a ton of bricks. Also, perhaps the installation of it might have been quite difficult as well. So I figured that, well, what I'd need is something that's small, fast, and affordable. So something that has the benefits of a wood-fired oven, but without the bulk and the cost of one. And I thought, well, let's see. I mean, if I need one of these, then somebody else must have wanted one of these before as well. So it's got to be something like this in the market. Now, I discovered, though, quite soon after starting searching for one, that such product doesn't exist. And at the very end of 2011, I started developing it. So at that point, I didn't know how to actually succeed in this. Just needed a lot of work, problem solving. And I'll backtrack a little bit. Something had happened in the kind of how projects are funded, how products are funded a few years before I even started working on this. So how it used to happen is an inventor or an entrepreneur might have an idea for a product. What they do next is get to a prototype stage. They find funding. They might go to banks. They might go to family. They might speak with retailers who put money upfront to a product. And then you produce the product and you bring it to market. You don't know what's going to happen at this stage. You might have just spent tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds on a product that is needed, which is great. You bring out the product, works, people want it. But in a lot of cases, this isn't what happens. This product just doesn't have a market out there. Now, what happened in 2009 when crowdfunding website Kickstarter was founded is that we had a subtle but fundamental shift in how this works. So an inventor or an entrepreneur has an idea. They want to bring out a product. They test the market first. So you bring it to the people who might want to buy it. If there is a market, excellent. You get the funds. You raise the capital to actually produce the product. Or if you don't have a market, then nothing happens. You've not lost money. Your pride might have taken a little knock, but that's all. There's no debt accumulated that way. So this was a fundamental shift in how projects are funded. By bringing together people from around the world to actually back and create products. So in the end of 2012, I had a product ready. I had a prototype ready that I brought to Kickstarter. We launched on 15th of November in 2012, and by the end of the month, by the end of the 30 days we were on Kickstarter, we had 142 backers and about £17,000 in funding to actually go from the prototype into actual products. And 92 of those backers were people who've actually put money towards buying one of our products. Here's what we started off with. At the top left is the initial original version of Uuni. Then the second version came out 2014. Now the current version, 2015 version, which actually just won the Retailer's Choice Award here at CLI, which we're very, very happy about. One cool thing about Kickstarter is, and often these digital platforms, crowdfunding platforms, is that they are global. They're on the internet, so you can't really stop people from discovering your ideas from around the world. So actually, half of our backers were from the US for the original Uuni. And that's really continued. So we've had lots of customers in the US, but a lot of our backers were from diverse places like Japan, Thailand, Canada, Central Europe, Finland, where I'm from, Sweden, and so on. So really a global enterprise in a way, straight as we started. This meant that, of course, we had to start working on global logistics and actually being able to satisfy those customers straight on our first year. So previously, you might start with a product, you start with a domestic market, and work your way up from there. We're actually doing it in the reverse, so we're having to satisfy customers around the world straight in our first year. There was a lot of learning doing that, but I think we're getting there, definitely. Now, another thing about sort of an internet approach to bring out a new product is that you can't really gauge the interest straight away. So you might have these waves of traffic to your website. This is our launch this summer in June, and we launched the product on the 9th of June this year. We had a little spike in traffic. Then we get featured by a big blog, US-based blog called Uncrate, and then another website a few days later. So suddenly our traffic sort of goes five times what it used to be the previous week, and we're having to then learn how to deal with this kind of influx. So one thing about the digital approach is, and internet approach, is that it's really hard to know when the storm is coming, and it might come very quickly. And it's also meant that we've had to learn how to deal with sort of influx of orders. So this summer has been really good for us, but it has meant that we've had to actually spend a lot of money on air freighting stock from our manufacturer in China to US and UK to satisfy all those orders. We just couldn't predict the amount of traffic we'd have on our website. What's also happened with that is with having sort of lots of internet press is that the mainstream media has picked it up. Previous years in 2014, we didn't spend any money on marketing. We didn't have a PR company. Anything with all the press that we've got is on back of the actual journalists discovering the product online and then getting in touch with us and saying this is a great product. I'd like to make a story about it. So far this year we've been featured in Sunday Times style. We've been in Guardian. We've been in Evening Standard and so on. So lots of really good high-profile magazines newspapers read by a lot of people. What's also been great about having a great presence on the internet is that we've been approached by a lot of retailers around the world, not just here. So we've not until now, we've not spent that much time in looking for retailers or wholesalers, but we've actually been contacted by wholesalers and distributors in other countries. So currently Uuni is in Japan. We have a distributor there. We have one in South Korea, Costa Rica, Canada, and soon Mexico. So those are kind of leads that we wouldn't have been able to generate on our own by going there as a tiny company where it's still only about 4 people working on this. So it's discovered is that it's nice to sell to those people who've actually come to you to buy a product, so it's quite easy. But now in 2015, one of the reasons why we're here at KLI is that we're ready now. We've tested the market. We know our customers love the product. We know our customers inside out. We know the product works. We get great feedback from them. So it's easy for us to now start talking to retailers and wholesalers at much more local markets in UK and in Europe when we know how the product performs. And this is really why we're here at KLI, is to make those contacts. And so far it's been a very successful show.